What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bucks on Deck podcast episode. I am Anthony Murphy. With me, as always, my co-host Nola Jeffy. Man, what's going on, man? How was your week
Oh, pretty good so far.
so far?
It was a interesting weekend. I decided to destroy a cell phone, but things happen.
What do we got to do to bring you to Team iPhone?
Nothing, because it's never gonna happen.
Everyone has a price.
Android for life.
Disappointed. I am sick
Bob
of the green
Budding,
bubbles.
Bob Budding, nutting. Sell the Pirates, and I'll buy an iPhone.
Let's go. You heard it here. That would. We gotta make this happen. I am sick of the green bubbles when I have to text you about stuff. So we got to get you to get the switch over. So we just need nothing to sell, and then I get my blue bubbles. So
Or you could come to the dark side.
I mean, does it count that I have an Android phone that I use as my hotspot to do these podcasts?
I mean, obviously, it's better for something. So
I mean, it's not really the phone that I'm using for it. It's because Android was so much cheaper for a reason than getting another iPhone. So
it's because you Apple users are a cult.
I'm not even going to try to disagree with that. My Apple Watch, my MacBook that we're recording on, my tablet, my second MacBook, and my iPhone would probably render any argument I have moot at that point. So, but yeah, I think we got a pretty good episode today. We're going to talk little Paul Skens, and we're going to segue that into some prospect talk. I teased it in an article over the weekend that we're going to be working on updating our top 25 prospect list. Obviously, we've had some graduations, some trade. Jackson Wolf was traded. He was in our top 25 originally. And just kind of clean stuff up. We've had a chance to see how everyone's played this year, and I've gotten to see some of the players that like a lot of us hadn't had a chance to see yet. So it was a good time to maybe start looking at touching everything up. So we'll get into that, and of course, Nola will have his preview, looking ahead at the week upcoming, and yeah. So we're going to start on Paul Skens, who I think had a pretty good outing his last time out. I would say 6 no-hit innings, just a walk. What was it like the first 7 batters he faced were all strikeouts?
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
And let's be honest, that one walk shouldn't have been a walk itself, too.
Yeah, it should have been 6 perfect innings for him. That was absolutely a blown call. But I mean, that's part of major league life that we have to deal with. We get lucky because AAA and single A, we both get the ABS and the challenge system and whatnot. Don't get that yet in the majors. But so what have your thoughts been so far? 2 starts in on Skenes, about what you're expecting, or what have you seen so far?
I mean, a lot of it for me, as I've said just about everywhere at this point regarding Skenes, is I know everybody talks about the shape, and that's become a point of mockery and everything. I was concerned with the command, and I mean, from the get-go in the minors up through the minors, the command is as advertised, and the fact that he's pumping 100, easy 100, spotting it pretty much wherever he wants, adding a splinker, it's reminiscent of some of the starts I watched last year of him in LSU, where it was just like, good luck, because then he's just pumping 100, and then he just throws in a nasty mid 80s, high 80s slider that is just no one's ready for, and it's just like, what do you do?
Yeah, no shot. So like, yeah, like you said, the whole fastball shape's kind of turned into like people mocking to an extent, the analytics crowd and stuff like that. But you could kind of see, and we kind of saw it in his first start too. Like when the command isn't there, and I'd say that was probably like I didn't see him as much at LSU that as you did, but like I tried to tune in as much as possible. So like between that and all the starts in Indy and even the starts like that he made last year before they shut him down, that was probably the worst fastball command that I had seen him have. Or if it wasn't the worst, it was right there towards the bottom on this. So that's the concern with it. Like if and it'll happen to everybody. If the command isn't there, if he's not spotting the fastball, it becomes a lot. It becomes a little bit more hitter. And professional hitters, they'll be able to time the 99, 100, 101 after seeing it a few times. We saw it in spring training that they were able to time it up, and I think it was Ahmed Rosario hit that home run off of it. The thing that I kind of noticed, and I kind of picked up on it like during his first start, everyone sees like the fastball and they get enamored with the fastball. They love the fastball. It goes fastball go vroom vroom vroom, right? And to me,
Vroom, vroom.
it was an at bat against Seiya Suzuki that kind of just made things click with me. He looks more like a finesse command pitcher, like one of the guys that's going to finesse you and locate his spots over the stuff. Except he also has the stuff to go with it. He doesn't need the fastball to blow it by hitters and stuff like that. He has 3 or 4 other pitches that he can use. Like he got Suzuki to strike out. He didn't even throw the fastball one time. He's a guy who's just going to hit his spots, and I think that's the part that makes him special. Throwing 100, 101 miles an hour isn't what it used to be. Like it's not that uncommon anymore. Throwing 100 miles an hour on the paint is what elevates him to that next level. And I think we saw his last start, everything kind of come together, and that's kind of what allowed him to have that kind of start for it.
Well, that's right. And because his slider, I think he technically has 2 sliders, and he just manipulates it as needed during a start. And the thing with the fastball is that it's always in the back of a hitter's mind. Like there could be a 100+ fastball coming at any point, and it's, I mean, the hitter pretty much has to go up there like they're facing a closer every at bat because it's there and he's gonna put it where he wants to.
Yeah, I think changing speeds is like still one of the most effective ways to get hitters out, and he has basically 3 different levels that he can use. Like he's got the fastball that obviously sits at 100. He has the splinter that tunnels off of that as well. That's coming in like 94, 95. And then he even has like a traditional changeup that comes in like the high 80s as well. So like he has like 3 different gears on 3 different pitches that he can spot almost wherever he wants to. And it's just it feels like when you talk about that kind of stuff, if you don't mention the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, you just say that he can change speeds like with multiple pitches and throw it wherever he wants to. It just kind of has like that like command over like finesse kind of pitcher feel. It's just he throws 100 miles an hour on top of that.
Yeah, and then on top of it, I know I've seen other people mention it as well in a couple places that the other way he benefits the team is, I mean, you got Jared Jones who can touch 100 with a rising fastball. You got Skenes with 100 four seam that moves like a sinker, basically. And then all of a sudden you got to face Bailey Falter from the left side throwing a rising 90-mile-an-hour fastball. So
it's just like right up in your face with the extension.
So. Right. Which is something I have actually find kind of funny is that Skenes, as big as he is, which I'm looking at right now, like his extension is 6.3, 6.4. So, but I mean,
imagine if they found a way to get that a little bit up there, a little bit more.
Imagine 7.5 foot extension with a guy throwing 102.
Yeah, at that point, you don't care what the shape is. You're just not hitting that. That's coming in. That feels like probably like 104, 105 then at that point.
Yeah, that's probably similar to his first start. When Kyle Nicholas came in, batters pretty much can just go up there and put the bat on their shoulder. It's like I'm not going to see it.
Yeah. Like, what do you want me to do?
Which I will say though, it is kind of funny because I was talking. I mentioned it in the NS9 Discord, and I think I mentioned it to Ethan as well on the side because I think he brought up a Carlos Collazo tweet about again the mocking of Skenes fastball, and I'm like, the thing is, definitionally, it's a dead zone fastball. Definitionally, like the vertical approach angle on it is like a 5 degrees, which definitionally is a dead zone fastball, but it's got 14, 15 inches of horizontal movement, and he's throwing it at 100, putting it wherever he wants. So it pretty much renders that point moot.
So, like, I know I said this with like when it comes to like Quinn Priester, because he's another guy with like the less than ideal fastball shape and whatnot. You can have bad fastball shape with high velocity and like good control and get away with it, or you can have like good shape with lower control, or like good like lower velocity but like really good shape on it. You can't have like bad velocity, bad shape, bad control, and that's kind of like where like Priester has the issues with Priester coming up. Skenes, like you said, by definition, the fastball shape is poor. But when you're throwing 101 at the top of the zone on the paint of that top of the zone, like that kind of just goes out the window at that point. Hitters are going to have a hard time.
Whereas Priester's throwing meatball sinkers, meatball four seams, meatball sliders, like
at 93,
you're not going to get away with that. Yeah.
No. And you get punished. So that's where that comes in with that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think what is it? He's supposed to pitch the Wednesday game, I believe, for the Pirates, and I think it's supposed to be against like Logan Webb or something like that. So that'll be an interesting matchup. Yeah, I haven't looked too much into the major. I know Jones bid goes tomorrow, and it's supposed to be against Blake Snell. But yeah, I guess can't really ask for too much more out of your first overall pick so far. We'll see how they manage the workload, if they try to sneak any off days and whatnot and stuff like that. But any final thoughts on Skenes in general?
Just that he takes it easy on my boy. Just that he takes it easy on my boy Blake Sable if he starts that game.
Yes, that would be nice. Be kind. Don't hurt us. So we teased it at the beginning of the show. We are working on a new updated list on the site. Skenes, when it comes out, should still be eligible for it. So he'll obviously be the number one guy. But by the time we do release it, there is a chance that like he isn't too far away from graduating, which in that case would call for a new number one prospect in the system. Obviously, they're very pitching heavy when it comes to that, and we were talking about it before the show about like how our lists are coming with it and trying to fit certain players in certain places. But
no hitter in the top 20.
yeah, that's we have a couple of like little inside jokes when it comes to the site. Yeah, we don't like hitting prospects in the top 20, and there are no hitting prospects until they get to AA. So, but obviously a pitcher will probably take over the number one spot. I guess maybe toss out a couple names. I mean, I guess the easy answer would be Bubba Chandler. I think most people would gravitate to. Do you think there's anyone that may kind of have a shot to overtake him?
Yes, I do. Now, I think a lot of people's natural instinct's going to be Tamar Johnson. I don't. I mean, he's gotten hot lately, and I don't want to hold it against him as a teenager in high A. So, but again, it's kind of difficult to really push any hitting prospects up the list as they've clearly been struggling severely with that. I mean, in just the last 10 days, Tamar does have a 806 OPS, walking over 20%. K percentage is under 15%. And another young player that's seen some success currently, Nick Gonzalez, I think is a move in the right direction of seeing a hitter progress. Because if you look at his savant numbers, I mean, I remember I was paying attention to it the other day. I think it was before he hit his first home run. He had struck out in his first at bat, I believe. And where Fangraphs does that live updates on their on a player page, his WRC plus got as low as 18. And then he hit the home run. It jumped, and he pretty much just took off from there. And he's still struggling against breaking, but he's hitting off speed. Because I think he got a double off Hendricks changeup. He hammered.
He's hitting the ball well. It's one hit. It's like it's a very small sample with it. It's like one hit, but like the quality of the contact's like far better than the quality of contact that he's getting with the break. Right. Like his expected slugging percentage is higher than what his expected slugging percentage is on fastballs right now.
Yeah, and I think, and the thing is, ironically, because we kept getting on the Pirates and Andy Haynes about the hitters being too patient. The reason I believe Gonzalez is being successful is he's currently seeing fewer pitches per plate appearance than league average. Sorry, I looked at it this morning, and I want to say it was 3.48 pitches per plate appearance, which in the league average is something like 3.79, 3.8 or something. I think McCutcheon was over 4. He's attacking, and he's specifically attacking fastballs, sinkers, four seams, which is what he should be doing. So I think there's beginning to see some progress with Gonzalez. I'd like to see what happens with like a Henry Davis, who's starting to tee off. Will that translate into major league success itself? So with the way everything's going this season, I think it's only right a pitcher, one of the higher pitchers, ascends to the top spot. Bubba's been a little rough. We'll see what this injury happens with him. I don't want to say I'm too down on Solometo, but there's some concerns there. Although he's 21 in AA. Saw some success last year as a 20-year-old. Won't be 22 to December. I feel like it's going to be between two, really. And if he keeps going the way he's going, there's maybe a chance of Braxton Ashcraft moves up to a top spot because, I mean, you got a guy throwing mid-90s. He's got much better command than a lot of the other kids. That is going to be a concern with Bubba is his command. Solometo commanding his pitches out of, a batter path. The struggles with hitting, I think it's possible that Ashcraft could leapfrog.
That's right. And that was like the biggest question with him was like, can he maintain that stuff deeper into games? Because like the Pirates, like I think like he never threw more than like 60 pitches in the outing last year. So like when they start stretching him beyond that this year, what that stuff going to carry into the 5th, 6th, and potentially 7th inning and stuff like that. And it has. We saw it when his first start on Tuesday, through the 7 shutout innings with the 10 strikeouts. Like this stuff kind of like naturally like started to come back a little bit once he got to the 7th. But still, like he was still able to work through it and get outs, and I think he only walked like one batter, I think, in that game. So yeah.
And that's what I mean. And even in his first few starts, I mean, there was some concern because he wasn't commanding, especially his breaking pitches as well. But then in the last like 2, 3, 4 starts, it was all of a sudden like, okay, there's the guy that showed up last year.
Yeah. I still feel like I would love to see a changeup from him, just to give him that like natural like secondary pitch to go off like the fastball and whatnot. But the way that he mixes things up with like the fastball, curveball, fastball, slider, and stuff like that, I guess he's able to work around not really having one. Like, I mean, I haven't seen every single pitch that Ashcraft has thrown the last 2 seasons, but I've seen quite a few of them, and like I don't think I can ever recount seeing like a changeup with it. So like it always like the way he threw against hitters and stuff like that always kind of reminded me of like Kyle Nicholas, but with like elite command kind of thing. Because like Nicholas throws like the fastball, slider, curve, and he kind of like tunnels like the fastball and the curveball up high and like the fastball, slider down and away. Ashcraft does a lot of that same kind of stuff. So it'd be nice to see the changeup, but like if he makes it work with the 3 pitches, and he's clearly has, like I don't see it being too much of an issue going forward.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of more of he becomes more of a safer prospect to see in the majors than some of the other guys that are, struggling with certain aspects.
Yeah. I think you mentioned the safer option too. I guess the other guy that would be an option as well would be someone like Thomas Harrington at this point, who like he's behind everyone because he got the late start with the shoulder, but like he's been fantastic since being back. It sounded like you posted that tweet in the group chat where it looked like he was averaging like 94.5 on the fastball. And I remember that's what some people were talking about with like the fastball. They wanted to see more velocity with it. Now the pitch had like elite movement and elite, elite metrics and stuff like that on that. And we saw the Alex Stump article where like Jared Jones started using his grip and whatnot, and we see what Jared Jones is doing with the fastball in the majors now. So. But like he's probably more on the safer side there too. Like I've always said that I feel like there's more upside there than some people like let on or believe there to be, because he's got the fastball that's a really good pitch, especially when he uses it up in the zone. The slider's a plus pitch. The changeup can be plus at times, and so like you're talking about a guy who all of a sudden has 3 above average, borderline plus pitches. Like I think with very good control, I think that's just as warranted, maybe, as far as the top guy in the system. Like I can see someone like I can see it both with like Ashcraft and like Harrington, that maybe there'll be some like grumblings and like people like roll their eyes, or maybe like that. Maybe it's because it's not like the traditional number 1 prospect kind of thing.
The sexy upside, potential superstar.
Because Bubba's going to be the one that everyone wants there and stuff like that, because he throws upper 90s and he gets racks up the strikeouts. And I mean, like when you think about it, they're like Harrington tied Jared Jones for most strikeouts in the minors last year in the system. So like he does get the strikeouts.
Which I was even just thinking, a wild curveball. I mean, it would probably have to promote him, and he would have to continue his success. But I mean, Hunter Barco might leapfrog some people, with the increased velocity, because I mean, we have to keep our ears open for it watching Greensboro games, but I mean, he's been sitting like 94, 95
Yeah,
with,
and that's
what we could only presume is a very um, elite vertical approach angle coming from the left side at his arm slot, throwing base a two seamer.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the metrics kind of like had it like kind of like from the spring breakout game that we saw, it kind of seemed like it was like a flat two seamer on
yeah,
there. So, but yeah, he's another guy. Like I think watching him last year in Bradenton, it was kind of like, okay, well the slider's pretty good, the changeup's really good, but like the
yeah,
fastball is just kind of like, nah. Like, is
yeah,
that going to get hitters out as you move up? And then he came into Greensboro and he's pumping 90. Like that's like he was averaging 90 with the fastball in Bradenton. And now he's up to like 93, 94. That's like a whole different level kind of thing. So
yeah, and
he's another guy that I know, like, obviously my final spots aren't tied, but he took a pretty good leap forward for me as far as my list on there. Mainly because like the fastball is playing so well now.
yeah. Which and then the other thing I was just going to say too, I said it to y'all in the chat that like I could foresee what I'm going to call the Cincinnati Reds boost when last year, McClain came up, started hitting. O'Neill Cruz or not O'Neill, Ellie De La Cruz, came up and I mean he struggled a bit, but he wowed people. Um, I could see with Jared Jones seeing the success he's having, Paul Skens seeing the success he's having so early and just like immediately, that evaluators are going to take an overall look of like, hey, the Pirates are developing pitchers, and they're developing pitchers that are having success rather quickly in the majors. So they could see someone like a Harrington and be like, he has all the promising metrics and everything that you can foreshadow future success. So he's going to get an extra boost because of that, essentially.
Yep.
And so I think that is going to help, some of the pitchers that are flashing like, hey, this guy's got something in him. They're gonna be like, the Pirates are succeeding in that aspect of development, so this guy's gonna get an extra bump because of that.
Yep. Next guy is going to make that huge lump. Maybe not to the top of the thing, but Urkelani with that Robo Scout info that we got from him, 17 inches of vert with that extension. And we know there's more velo. They said, I think it said what he was averaging like 92, 93 with the fastball. We know there's more in there from what we saw in Bradenton. We know there's more.
Yeah, he was up to 96, 97 at some points last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, going back to, Bubba. I mean, that's kind of what happened with him last year. And everybody was worried about him because he was only throwing 91, 92. And it was like middle of the season, he just, boom, ramped it. All of a sudden, 96, 97.
And like, I mean, I could talk to it as on there because when I talked to Michael Kennedy, it's more or less the same thing that he's doing down there as well. Like he knows, like I there was a game that he pitched, one of those two games in Bradenton where he hit 93. And like he was throwing 91, 93 in the complex league last year. But his main thing was his main focus. One of his focuses this year was being a lot more efficient with like his delivery and making sure that he builds himself up properly so he can get through an entire season like healthy kind of thing. So like it's sitting there. It's just they're preparing themselves for like a long season and stuff like that. So Urkelani, Kennedy, I could see them both kind of uptick in the velocity and stuff like that at some point.
Well, they might tell Dotel he doesn't need to hit 99.
Yeah, I just want to see those strikes. Give me 90, 96 and strikes, and I'll be okay with that.
Right.
We can work on that eventually. But so obviously the Pirates, we can talk about it all day. They got pitching for days There's always some sort of top prospect pitching on any given day there. It's the hitting side that obviously
hitters.
Yeah,
Trade
yeah.
for hitters.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation. But you mentioned Tamar, and you mentioned Tamar's a little bit on a hot streak, or he's starting to play a little bit better and stuff like that. Do you think maybe I saw someone compare him to Adam LaRoche on Twitter? I think it was today or something like that. Like he's just notoriously, maybe he's just a notorious slow starter, and now's about the time where he'll start picking things up. But like I don't like. Obviously, you see the 4th overall pick from a couple years ago batting under 200. That's a little concerning. But like, he's been doing like so much of like the little stuff right that I don't think I was hitting the panic button any point. I don't know if you're in the same boat as that or not.
No. I mean, I'm not hitting the panic button per se. It's just, I mean, carrying a 400 OBP is only going to get you so far, once you start moving up levels to where guys are, commanding it better and hitting their spots, and he's not going to be able to just watch pitches. He's going to need to start putting the ball in play, and he's definitely got one of those A-swing approaches.
Mm-hmm. I've seen the B, like we see the B swing every now and again, and it's kind of like we see the B swing, and the B swing is so beautiful. And it's like, just please show that more, show that just a little bit more, and like, man, we are working with something here, because the way he like the adjustments he shows, and then just kind of slaps the ball the other way or something like that. It's just it looks so good. It's like, let's just see it more.
Yeah.
Let's just focus on doing that more. And like the strikeout rate is down. Like I think it's like low 20s right now. So like it's not in a bad place. And the walks are still there. Like I said, it's just it's consistency. He did it this week.
Yeah.
Let's see him do it this week coming up. That's it. And I do think if like he's someone like maybe the midseason rank or like our updated rankings that we do now, and then if like if like I don't know if we do another one, say like after the draft or something like that. Maybe once we see some of the guys that get drafted in the system and whatnot. Maybe not then. Maybe not now. Maybe not then. But like he really turns the corner. Like I think he would be a pretty easy choice as far as like the potential with that bat to be that number one guy in the system. Right. I feel like I don't like the limitations defensively and stuff like that. You always got to look at that. But like the little bits and pieces we've seen like the last year or two, like man, just put that together for a nice stretch of time, and like it'll just be fun to watch, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it's probably fair to say that sample size is considered. Tamar probably ends up the new number one, just because of the whole 4th overall. He's 19 years old, playing in high A. Mm-hmm. You don't want to overreact. Although, I mean, some top 100 lists have been dropping him pretty precipitously. Although that same thing happened last year. I think he went from like the 20s to the 80s, back up to the 40s by the end of the season.
Yeah.
It's probably tomorrow will end up number one, and then see where he ends up at the end of the year, kind of thing.
That'd be fair. I don't think like it's, and like you said it, like it's so he's like, even with like the national media, he's like, it's so up and down. And I think it's because they see what we see. They see him. You said the A swing, B swing. He throws out the B swing here and there and slaps the ball the other way, and just the way he adjusts and does it. It's like that's it. That's it right there. If we see some more, so they know it's there. So the second they see it, it's like we're right back in, like
right,
we're bought all in with it. And then he'll go a couple months before we see that happening again. And like that could just be 19 playing in high A. Like I think it's like early June.
It could be
20. So
Yeah, and it could be similar to, I think, what we discussed, was it last week, about Yordani De Los Santos, where it's just like he's swinging like he's trying to get to the next level within a
yeah,
week,
yeah,
and it might finally be setting in like, hey, no, I need to be me, do my thing the right way, and I'll get there. You know,
yeah.
I think who was it? Steve Sanders was talking about that. They like that he's facing adversity and kind of starting to come through. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's probably a similar situation. They're just, I guess, in a sense, get it out of your system, deal with the adversity, and realize that just be you, and
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially what's going to get you to the next level.
Yeah.
Then
And
trying to
I
be
know
extra.
for as long as this has been going on, like I guess maybe slump isn't the right word for it, but like when I talked to Jim Horner, something really stood out with it. Like they don't, at least like the coaching staff, they don't see these kind of stretches as slumps. Like from the coaching
Correct.
side, they see it as like the player is working at something and he's working at the same thing. They have a player plan for each player, what they want them to work on this season, all that kind of stuff. And when they do slump, quote unquote, or they do struggle, it's them just going through their player plan. And if
Yeah.
the player is talented enough and they're willing to work through it and everything like that, it'll all eventually work out. And like we said, we've seen a lot of little stuff from Tamar this season. We've seen bits and pieces here and there. We saw more of the flashy stuff over the weekend with the extra base hits and whatnot. It's just putting it all together and doing it for an extended period of time.
Yeah, it's. I think they mostly just see it as a learning opportunity, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Finding out what works, what doesn't work. You're facing these guys that are a couple years older than you with a couple years more experience, either playing at this level or playing a higher level of baseball. So, okay, well, this swing in this situation doesn't work for me in high school, but that's not going to work here against these pitchers. So, what do I have to do to make consistent contact with this pitch that I'm having trouble with, kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, a lot of people worried about tomorrow with the start and all that. I guess it doesn't sound like we're like neither of us are really too concerned just yet. Just yet. Like maybe if he finish the season around where he's at, then maybe they're time
Yeah.
to have that conversation. But until then, I guess we can probably expect tomorrow to still be pretty highly rated in our update. I would
Yeah.
say. So, all right. So transition to the last part of the show. This is Nola's weekly preview. Taking a look at the opponents the Pirates minor league teams will be facing. How's it looking for them this week?
Um, good, but not as good as it could be.
If injuries were turned off, it'd be much
Yeah,
better.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. Um, I'll also say it would be a great week to promote some starters from Altoona to Indianapolis. Wink, wink, do it. Because, fresh off the Pirates taking 3 out of 4 from the Cubs, should have been a sweep. Indy will be facing off against the Iowa Cubs, who have the Cubs' number 1 and number 2 ranked prospect, Cade Horton and Owen Cassie. Horton was a draft pick out of college, and then Cassie was. I'm probably saying that wrong. It might be Casey. I'll let Corey check me on that. I know he's I think I'll say Casey fan. He was actually acquired in the 2020 Yu Darvish trade from the Padres. They're both consensus top 100. An interesting guy I thought was Brennan Davis. He actually reached AAA in 2021 and at one point was a top 100 prospect, but couldn't stay healthy and never really hit well when he was playing, but would just get re-injured. This is technically his 4th time in AAA, but he's currently over 1,000 OPS in 23 games. Ranked 22nd, but a guy to That'll probably be a good matchup, which is why they need to promote some pitchers, preferably Ashcraft and Sullivan. Getting with the curve, we were slated to face the second best pitching prospect in the game, Jackson Jobe, but he's unfortunately injured with a hamstring injury and has yet to make a rehab appearance. So I don't believe he'll be back this week. So their next highest rated prospect would be their 10th overall right-handed pitcher, Troy Melton. I'm not sure if you hear my dogs right now. They're having a lot of play fighting right now.
Yeah,
They picked the perfect time. Greensboro, they're coming off a nice 5-2 week. They had an extra game thrown in there. Here we go again. I swear. Like every time. They played 7 games. They had an extra game thrown in there. They're taking on the Greenville Drive, the Boston Red Sox High A affiliate. It'll actually be their 3rd time facing them. They led off the season with a 3-game series. And then they had a 6-game series. Greensboro's won 5 of 9 so far. The top-ranked prospect is Luis Perales. They're 9th overall. He threw 4 innings with 7 Ks, 1 unearned run. Last time we faced the Hoppers. Mikey Romero was a 2022 first-round pick out of high school. I think he's a name that was attached to I'm probably going to get it wrong. Horowitz? Horowitz was the guy they brought over from the Red Sox, right? To be the new scouting director?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I believe Romero was attributed to him. He's been injured most of the season, but recently returned against Winston-Salem Dash this past week. Went 3 for 12 with a triple, 2 RBI. So it's light in high A, but some guys to keep an eye out for. Maybe Greensboro could just go on a tear, which would be great. Getting down to Bradenton, this is probably the most unfortunate level of the week because their 2023 and 2022 first-round picks, Nola in 23 and Barrera in 2022, are rostered on the Dunedin Blue Jays. But Barrera's out for the year after following Tommy John. He's ranked 4th. Nola is ranked 3rd, but he's currently on development list. Now, that happened roughly a week ago, so there's probably a good chance he gets activated for this week.
Which would be a good test for pitching. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I mean, although I think he had a sub 600 OPS on the season so far. So if he comes back, he's allowed to struggle for one more week before he goes off. real toolsy, athletic shortstop. I think I remember seeing him during the combine and really liked him.
Yeah.
And then their 3rd ranked prospect, who's 3rd on Dunedin, 12th overall of the Blue Jays top 30, Landon Marotis, 60-day IL with an elbow injury. But you get down to their 4th, who's 18th overall, is I'm going to mess this one up. Watts Brown. I'm going to skip the first name. Jawan Watts Brown, right-handed pitcher out of Oklahoma State. That's the first healthy top 30 prospect. So they're Dunedin's in the standings, kind of in line with Bradenton. I think they got about a month and a half until the first half ends. But Bradenton would need to go on another tear if they're going to catch Clearwater, who they're, I believe it was, 10 games behind for the first half division winner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about Clearwater. They did the same thing last year, too.
Yeah.
The Phillies are just pumping.
Sure. What is it? Well, I mean, they got Aiden Nola there who's destroying the ball, and then they got George Clausen, who has no business being in single A, lighting up single A right
Yeah.
now. So
When that's when, who was it? Crawford last year, Justin Crawford,
mm-hmm.
who was just ripping through low A.
And I feel like they have a lot of repeaters this year. Maybe maybe organizational guys, because it seemed like there's a lot of familiar names on Clearwater, like the one time that the Pirates played them. So, which helps.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was really excited when I first started making the list, and then I started going to the team pages to update who's healthy and who's active and all that, and it was like Joby injured, Herrera injured, Nola development list. I was like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
So
and like you said, Nola, I guess there's a chance that he gets taken off the development list going into the week. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Even if he's struggling, the pedigree's kind of there, so it's always good to see players get tested and whatnot.
So what we'd like to see is Ashcraft and Sullivan get tested in AAA against the Iowa Cubs.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, be a good test. I really don't think there's much more for them to. Yeah. All right. Well, before your dogs involve you in that, I guess we'll go ahead and.
Joey. So now they're fighting the broom.
That's hilarious. But so for the people who aren't watching the show, you want to go and give out your socials, and if you have any Nola knowledge, go ahead and spit the Nola knowledge out.
Well, people listening at Nola Jeffy, NOLAJEFFY. I think I finally surpassed 400. Big milestone for me. Nola knowledge. I guess part one is we were discussing yesterday how working out is bad. You should save money on a gym membership because eventually you might drop your phone onto a metal bar, flush with the screen, and then the bottom 2/3 of your screen is rendered useless because it goes black, and then you have to buy a new phone. That was not fun. Part two is, I think, as a whole, the Pirates Twitter community, for no reason at all, just saying, because I feel like we should start referring to the Pirates farm system as the Perspectivas de Piratas. We could even go as far as I think Objectivas de Perspectivas de Piratas, de los Piratas. Did I get lost?
No, you're still here.
Oh, well, I ain't moving. I guess you can hear me.
No, you're not moving. You're not moving, but we can hear you.
I think my computer finally crapped out.
Okay.
So,
Man,
yeah, I think we should just Perspectivas de Piratas. Make everything easier, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good. We don't want any confusion going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
sounds good. Oh, well, okay. I guess I'll close you out here because we lost Nola. It gives us a flashback of the old 2.5 Gringo days. Wrapping everything up. Follow me on Twitter at @double_Murphy88. Subscribe to Bucks on Deck. Usually about 3 articles per day. Today was the day we recorded. Monday was 2 because it was an off day. Do a morning rundown, kind of recaps the previous day in the minors, all the news, notes, all that whatnot. Do our daily feature. Some of them are paid. You get paid membership with stuff like that. Really good deal. A yearly subscription comes down to about $4 a month overall. So support the site. Lets me do fun things like go to Bradenton, go to Greensboro. Got a Greensboro trip, planning out the final details. and stuff like that. So it lets me do that. It lets me, get some added videos, get some more in-depth stuff on the system and all that, so I can share it with everyone on there. So subscribe to the site. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.